Hi, welcome to the section of HBase. In this section, we'll see about introduction of HBase, like what is HBase and what is the architecture of HBase. Okay, and what are all the individual components that are involved in the architecture of HBase. So, firstly, what is HBase? Yeah, HBase is a sparse, distributed, persistent, multi-dimensional sorted map. Okay, I'm repeating. HBase is a sparse, distributed, persistent, multi-dimensional sorted map. When I say this, sparse is nothing but scattered. It scatters the data among different data nodes. Okay, and persistent. When I say persistent, it's nothing but data will be saved as soon as you distribute the data among different data nodes. Okay, multi-dimensional. So when I say multi-dimensional, for a particular row or for a particular data, we can have multiple number of rows. Okay, for example, I have something called a bank balance of $100 today. Okay, maybe tomorrow I can deposit another $50 into my bank account, so it would be $150. So rather than updating the data of $100, I will insert a new row which is $150. So for same data, I can have multiple versions. The default versions will be 3. You can increase it to any number of value. So that's why we call HBase as a version database. Okay, as I said, it's a sorted map. Okay, to obtain each value, you must provide a corresponding key. Of course, we're gonna see that in our practical section how we are gonna provide a value how we are gonna provide a key for every value. Okay, so HBase is a sparse, distributed, persistent, multi-dimensional sorted map, and it's a version database. Okay, and we call this as a NoSQL database as well, because you are not gonna write any SQL queries. Okay, and when I say, now we have seen what is HBase. Who uses HBase? If you ask me, I would say Twitter and Facebook are the most heavy users of HBase. Okay, and it has been Googled. It has been developed from Google's big table technology. That's how HBase had evolved. It has evolved out of Google's big table technology. Yeah. Now we know what is HBase and who are using HBase. But what is this HBase architecture? If you could see here, we have something called HMaster, HRegion server, and HRegions. Okay, so what is this HMaster and what does it do? Like the name signifies, HMaster is the master of HBase architecture. Okay, it is responsible for performing administration. When I say administration, it has to administrate all these HRegion servers, which are its slaves, because HMaster is a master which performs the administration, managing and monitoring the cluster. Like I said, it manages the cluster, assigning regions to the region servers. So each region server has group of regions, so that regions has to be assigned to the region server by the HMaster itself. And again, it has to control the load on a particular cluster, because it's the master, right? So that's whole about HMaster, which is the master of this HBase architecture. So when I say HRegion server, it's a combination of it's a group of HRegions. HRegions are nothing but a group of data nodes. Okay, so what is this HRegion do? It hosts and manages the regions. Okay, it hosts and manages the regions, splitting the regions automatically, because typically each HRegion server will have same number of HRegions. Okay, handling read and write requests and communicating with the clients directly. Okay, so HRegion will distribute the HRegions. HRegion server will distribute the HRegions. It hosts and manages the regions. Okay, and it handles the read and write requests, and it also communicates with the clients directly. That's the use of HRegion server. So HRegion server, okay, basically has 3 things. Okay, one is your H file, where you actually store the data, which is we call it as a store file, and memstore, and write ahead log, which we call it as a H log. Okay, this is what a particular each H region, I mean each H region will be containing. One is your memstore file, because as I told, H regions are something, the actual data nodes which stores the data. Okay, it has three things. One is your memstore, which will store the, I mean, I'll talk about what memstore will contain, and it also contains the hstore file. Hstore file is nothing but the actual content of the data will be residing in the hstore file. And we have something called hlog. Hlog is a write ahead log. Of course, we're gonna discuss about hlog in detail now. Hlog can also be called as an write ahead logging. Okay, so what is this write ahead logging? Before storing anything into your data node, what H region server does is, or what H region will do is, it will store the modifications into this hlog before performing the modifications. So why this is required is, when a system is gonna shut down, or it has shut down abruptly due to power loss or something, due to hardware failure or something. Okay, when a system is brought back again, it may not know what it is performing, what it has to perform as well. So in order to know that, it will refer to the hlog and see that, hey, I'm gonna update some records. Okay, that's what has been logged into my write ahead logging. So I haven't yet updated it, but I had to update it, because write ahead logging is something which will have the log, which will have the updates before updating in the data, right? Before updating on the data. So now when a H region has brought up, it will definitely look at its hlog and say, and it feels that, okay, I had to update some data into my data nodes. Okay, which I have before doing that itself, I have gone down. Now I have come up, so I can very well update my data. That's how this write ahead logging will be very much useful. Okay, write ahead logging. The name itself says that, right? Before writing, you are logging it, because when a system goes down, we know what you are gonna perform using that write ahead logging. That's the use of write ahead logging. We have something called memstore. Memstore holds in-memory modifications to store the data. It stores all the memory related information in it, and we know that that's like a store file, or hstore file is the actual storage of data, right? It stores the actual content inside it. Yeah. Okay, so now we know what is a hmaster, and what is a H region server, and what is H region, right? We know hmaster is the master. It has a group of H region servers, and each H region server typically has same number of H regions, which are nothing but your data nodes, and they contain three things. One is your memstore, your hstore, and hlog. We know individually what these are gonna do, right? So now let's discuss about something called how HBase stores its data. Yeah, so before discussing about that, we got to discuss about few things. Okay, one is a table, row, column family, and a column and a cell. So these are the three, I mean, these are five important things that we require while operating with HBase. So what is a table? Okay, the HBase tables are more or like collection of rows stored in separate partitions. Okay, so it's more or less like a collection of data rows stored in separate partitions called H regions, because as I told that H regions are separate partitions. Okay, or the data nodes. I would say different partitions that are stored in a data node are the H regions. Okay, so the tables are collection of rows that are stored in separate partitions called regions. Okay, now what is a row? Row is one instance of data in a table and is identified by a row key. See here, when a row is stored in a table, okay, it is identified by a row key. Okay, row keys are unique in HBase, which are always treated as an array of bytes. See, this is my row key, and each row will be identified by using a row key, which is an unique identifier. And we could see something called column families. So what are column families here? Data in rows are grouped together as column families. Okay, each column family has one or more columns, and these columns columns in a family are stored together in a low-level storage file known as H file. Because see here, name and city are one column family, which are belonging to a column family called customer, and we have product and amount, because these are two similar things, two similar columns which can be grouped together as a single column family, and so these are part of one column family called as sales. And one column family can be stored typically in one HStore file, which stores the actual contents of the file. So when similar components are stored together, it allows the HBase to apply some compression techniques. Okay, so a proper care has to be taken while you are splitting your rows into column families. Yeah, that's the advantage of splitting your data into column families. We know what is a table, okay, we know what is a row, and we know what is a column family in HBase. We'll see what is a column. Okay, this is a column here, but how will it be identified? We'll identify it by naming called column family colon your column name, because when you got to refer to a column called name, we will refer in HBase as a column family which is customer colon name. Yeah, so we have known, we know what is a column now. What is a cell in HBase? Cell is nothing but where your data is typically stored. See here, this is a cell. It's a combination of, data stored here is nothing but your cell. Cell is something which actually stores its value. Okay, it usually has a unique combination of row key. It usually has that because if you could see here John White, it has a unique combination of row key which is nothing but 101. Right? So these are the different terminologies that we do use in HBase. Okay, so in this section we have seen what is HBase and what is an architecture of HBase, and we have seen what is the HMaster, HRegion server, HRegion, and we have seen different terminologies like tables, rows, column families, columns, and a cell. In our next video, we'll see how different is HBase from our RDBMS. Okay, hope you had enjoyed watching this video. Thanks a lot for watching this video. Bye bye.